After 10,000 years, I'm free. It's time for Mondo Coolcast.
Twinkbot, the internet's in trouble. Recruit a rapidly approaching middle-aged bald man with attitude.
That's right, you chantaloons. I'm back. We're making a brand new Mondo Coolcast. This is the 10th anniversary year of Mondo Coolcast, according to Balzac, whomst I trust, with such fine details. So here we are. It's been a while, hasn't it? I made an attempt to record an anniversary episode, and I got a couple of bits done. I wanted to get all the past co-hosts. I reached out to a couple. Some, responded. Some were like, yeah, and then they never, appeared. And then I had about, 3 months of paternity leave. I had quit my last job, started a new job, which I recently had to quit due to family issues that I hope I can return to someday in the future because the pay was very nice. And but unfortunately, I was working basically around the clock. It's one of those stupid things where they had a union, but the union doesn't actually do anything except for make life really good for the union reps. And I was not a union rep. So I was working basically 3 double shifts in a row and then getting 4 days off because I had worked it out with a coworker. None of this is new to you if you'd caught any of the streams from my days off where I was just like mindlessly playing Dragon Warrior on the Nintendo and then eventually Dragon Warrior 2. So now I'm watching both my kids, which I'm not sure which is more draining, the 16-hour days at the last job or wrestling a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old for 12 hours a day. Boy, it's tough. And unfortunately, I just don't have a lot of family support to lean on to help out with these little heathens. So anyway, recently I was on a podcast called Retro Blissed. It is a video game podcast that posts sporadically, but I enjoy it. It's a couple of laid back, I believe they're from North Carolina, a couple of fine southern lads, and they do a different style podcast than what I do. They don't really talk about current issues or whatever. It's a classic retro video game podcast. Just Google Retro Blissed, B-L-I-S-S-E-D, and you should find it. It's the Ninja Golf episode. I sort of invited myself onto the program because I heard one of the hosts talking about Ninja Golf, and I was like, hey guys, man, I'm an expert in Ninja Golf, so if you do an episode, I want to be in on that. And they're like, yeah, sure, okay. It's like, oh, all right. So I did that. I'm also going to be showing up on Retro Wolf 88's podcast pretty close to my birthday. He does things the right way. He's very aggressive and passionate about his internet career. And he's got stuff in the can, right? He's got stuff a month out that he's ready to do. And he edits his videos and just has them to sit on for months, which I've tried to do, and I've got a bunch of stuff in the reserve, but, then I get this job where I'm working 16-hour days, then I come home, and if I'm lucky, I get 4.5 hours of sleep before going back to it, and so on my 4 days off, now I'm watching kids, for those 4 days, and just and then there was one night a week where I was able to just sit back, play Nintendo, switch my brain off, and do some Dragon Warrior grinding. I do miss the money because I was able to impulse purchase anything I wanted. The base pay was $20 an hour, so the first 8 hours was $20, and then the next 8 hours was for $30 an hour. So I was racking up some big boy dollars. I became the breadwinner in the household. That was kind of dope. I regret not doing this while I was still working there before I kind of had to quit because my child care went away. I almost bought an SC3000. It's a PC built on the SG1000. So it plays SG1000 games, but it's, you know, kind of like a Commodore 64 80s style 8-bit computer, you know, where it's like the whole machine's built into the keyboard. I don't like that's less than a week's worth of overtime. So, you know, I was just like, I was looking at it every night on eBay. So that's what I do. Like, the job itself wasn't hard, it was the overtime, right? Like, I spent a lot of time screwing around on my laptop. I bought a gaming laptop to screw around with at work. So I actually started buying games on Steam, which we'll talk about a little bit in the future. But I spent, you know, a lot of time just watching YouTube and playing PC games, which was pretty cool, honestly, for $20 to $30 an hour. And, you know, so I really regret having to have left the job, but it was getting pretty gnarly there. Because of all the overtime and mismanagement, people were dropping like flies. You know, all the people with low seniority that were getting hit were burning out. So that's just a really dumb system. You got your people that they've made their bed, they're going to lie in it. They've been there for 20 years. They're like, oh man, you know, I just hang another 10, 20 years, get retirement, it'll be golden, I'm making all this money, yada yada. But they're not feeling it. They might have to work overtime once or twice a week, maybe put in 12 hours. But here I am just getting like back-to-back 16-hour shifts. And one of my coworkers appeared. She's like, hey, let's trade shifts. They can't hold you for more than 16. So towards the end, for about a month, I was still working 16s, but I knew it, and I was getting 4 days off instead of working 4 16s, a 12, and then having 2 days off. But I loved the job. The work itself was great. If it wasn't for the overtime and the lack of childcare, I'd still be there clocking crazy ducats. And anyway, let's go ahead. I got a couple of show notes. You know, I just being on those 2 podcasts got me all fired up. People were on my Instagram comments, which if you want to know where to find me these days, find me on Instagram. That's where I'm most active because I can just snap a picture, sit down on the crapper, and hammer out a few hashtags. But a couple of people were requesting that, making it known that they missed the Mondo Cool cast. So, see, I mentioned those 2 spots. You can hear my mother-in-law's dog. She's in the room upstairs above me. She doesn't know how to train a dog, so when the dog's bullying her around because the dog is the alpha, she just stomps and hoots like an ape. So, I know that sounds picking up on the microphone. God. Oh, boy. So, anyway, another thing I did, while I had money, I did some upgrades to the PC. That was fun. You know, I bought some RAM, and I upgraded to a solid-state hard drive. Why didn't I do this earlier? So that gaming quality laptop I bought has an SSD, and I was like, dang, this is awesome. So I upgraded that, and then I'm going to buy a really large storage drive or 2 sometime in the near future. Let's see. Got a couple of things here to talk about. I was looking at Retro Wolf 88s. We'll do this. I'm kind of looking at my notes, like trying to figure out what I want to talk about first. I was on Retro Wolf 88's Instagram, and he had posted something about a YouTube comment he got, which I believe was just a troll comment. But the crux of the argument was collectors versus just, if you want to play the game, just emulate, because you're playing the game, and you don't have to have a bunch of, you know, $100 pieces of plastic lining a shelf, because the world of collecting has changed drastically since the height of the Mondo Coolcast and today. And there's a new scumbag that has emerged on the scene that I've seen on Instagram, and this is probably the biggest lowlife. But I got into like a heated argument, not an argument, but a heated debate with Retro Wolf 88 about, like, no, he has a valid point. Like, his delivery was a little crappy. He's probably a younger fella that doesn't have a lot of money. So it makes sense that emulating's a young man's game. You know, you don't have as much resources. Like I said, when I was working at the job and I was making like a gajillion dollars an hour, yeah, I made impulse purchases all the time because it's like, oh man, I need me a dopamine hit to get to 3 p.m. Because I was working 11 p.m. to 3 p.m. So it's like, oh, man, you get the end of the night and you're like, oh man, I've made this much money to screw around with. I won't even feel it. I was so big ballin', I bought me a crate of like $100 Japanese coffee to drink at work. And didn't even feel it, man. It was nice. It was nice making grown-up money for the first time in my life. It really sucks that I had to leave that job because personal circumstances. But anyway, so the main discussion was there's different aspects to gaming, right? We've talked about this before on the Mondo Coolcast, but as I've grown and matured, and I finally got to live the highfalutin eBay collecting lifestyle for a few months, where I was just like, I want a Game Boy Light. Click, click, there it is. You know, I've seen it from all angles now. So the new scumbag that has emerged is the investor. Right? It used to be shelf collectors. People that would just be like, oh man, I got money, I'll buy this game. Isn't it cool? I can just throw a couple dollars around and here, look, I got this pristine copy of Earthbound or Panzer Dragoon Saga, whatever your flavor is, whatever your expensive game of choice is. You know, you can just throw around the money, put it on your shelf, throw it on YouTube, throw it on Instagram. Look at me, look at what I got. Isn't that cool? Yada, yada. But I've seen an account, I don't know what the account is, but I see them pop up every now and then. And they talk about learn how to invest in gaming. And if you invest in collecting physical video games, you deserve to go broke. And you will in time. People's interest in physical video games, like, that bubble's going to burst someday. I'm surprised that it hasn't already, and that there are some younger people that are getting into it because of things like social media and all that. But it's not an investment, you know. Once people that care about video games get old and die, no one's going to care about this stuff. You know, the kid that grows up playing mobile games and current DLC stupid games, you know, the kids that are growing up on the, you know, PS5 that doesn't have a disc, that they don't understand collecting, they don't understand ownership. They're not going to shell out money. They're not going to shell out big money for these things. You know, go to an antique store and you're just going to see some old boomer ladies sitting on a bunch of furniture that no one cares about anymore. You know, like, oh, wow, a 200-year-old chair that's uncomfortable, that sucks. I'm going to go to IKEA and buy this cheap Swedish crap that I need an Allen key to put together, and I hope it lasts long enough. I hope it lasts 6 months for me to get just, you know, another measly amount of money to buy another one when it breaks. It's just, I don't see the video game investor. I don't see that guy ending up on a yacht drinking Mai Tais with George Soros, right? I don't see that happening. I don't think the next Rothschild family is going to be built on the back of Mario tapes. Okay, guys? But that person exists now, right? And I'm sure he's duping a lot of people into buying them. Something else that's alarming that I've seen fly by my Instagram. Remember how I used to get heated about that video game grading Association, whatever it is, VGA, where they put in the little see-through box that offers no protection. There's a really good video, I forget what the account is, but he breaks down why it's worthless, why you're getting duped, you shouldn't pay money for this. I see a lot of people on Instagram buying this stuff. I see some guy that I follow on there trying to sell some of it. It's like, VGA graded 9.2, $500 for like some totally unremarkable game that you can go find at a yard sale for the same, in the same condition, and you can just use your own eyeballs and say, yep, this is pretty good. Oh, it's not bent up. Looks great. Has the hang tab. And just be happy with it. I don't know, man. Just what a bunch of suckers. What a bunch of rubes. So, the new scumbag emerges to usurp the throne from the shelf collector, the investor. So, those are classic gamer profile types. The scalper, the investor, the shelf collector, the regular collector, the insta-faker, and then the emulator. I think one of the best happy grounds is getting the real hardware and then getting a flash cart. Okay, something that, when I was working at the last job that I threw some money around, didn't even feel it. I bought 2 multiple optical drive emulators, 2 modes, MODE, from Terra Onion. They were, I don't know, I spent like $450 for 2 of them. Roundabout. You can use it in either the Sega Saturn or the Dreamcast. Same piece of hardware. It's just takes a little more time to get into your Sega Saturn, so there's more screws and more pieces you have to take apart, and then an additional power cable that you need to install. And this just, does exactly what it says. It emulates the optical drive. So now you can use an SD card, a regular thumb drive, or a solid state drive, or a hard drive, or any combination of the two. You can use an SSD and an SD card. You can use a thumb drive and a SD card, whatever it is. So I bought a couple of just regular thumb drives and then some 6-inch USB extensions so that I can take the USB drive out without having to break down the system. So I can just open the disk tray, the lid, and just reach in and grab my thumb drive. I bought, what was it? 512 gigabyte thumb drives to go with it, and then got a bunch of ROMs from a buddy, and tossed entire ROM sets on a extra Saturn and Dreamcast. I still have ones with the regular optical drive set up, but I dug into the plastic totes full of consoles that I have, and I put some optical drives in those bad boys. And it took a couple months for them to ship. And the Dreamcast, it took about 5 minutes to set that up. There's like 4 or 5 screws. You plop out the old laser assembly, you pop in your mode, and you're good to go. Follow the instructions, format your thumb drive, and you're good to go. Now, I believe Terra Onion has announced that the mode will be compatible with the PlayStation 1, but you're going to have to solder some things because of the way the PS1 works, so it's not quite as plug and play. It was a fairly easy install. It's probably the easiest thing I've ever done. So now I've got, my Dreamcast with my modes set up in the garage. That's where I keep my gaming laptop. So I've got 2 streaming stations set up. If you've watched any of the streams this year, you'll notice that sometimes I was in the living room of the house. Back before I got released from training and I was working a consistent 8 hours a night, before I was eligible for overtime, I would do some streams upstairs while my woman was downstairs sleeping, and I had nothing to do and I stayed on the same schedule, so I would just play Dragon Warrior and do lots of grinding upstairs with that gaming laptop I bought for work. So now I've got that laptop set up in the garage, and someday I want to do a garage stream. I just see it in my head as being really comfy, man. Throw back a couple of beers, hang out in the garage, sit on the squat rack, sit in the squat cage, and play some Nintendo or whatever. I also installed a blinking light Win. That's one of those things that I had a tab open on my phone for a trillion years. So every now and then I'd remind myself that existed. And that's one of those things where, it's one night, it's like, let's do some impulse purchasing. Click, click. And that was a good install. It works pretty well. Happy with it so far. Let's see. What do we got? So I think that's one of the happy grounds is you get the feel, you get the right aesthetic, right? Like I can plug in my Saturn with the mode into my Sony CRT, and I'm playing with the real controller, with the real system, and I get that, real deal feel. And, it's the same thing as an EverDrive. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there have bought an EverDrive for something. I have one for the Nintendo and the Game Boy, and what else? The Genesis. And, as time goes on, I'll keep rounding out that collection because I like being able to just, pop in a new game. I like the fan translations a lot. It's pretty cool being able to check out fan translations. One of these days on the Genesis, I'm going to check out Battle Golfer Yui. After I watched an episode of Game Center CX about it, I thought, this looks like it's good for a laugh. And so I think that's a fairly happy middle ground in between. I mean, you're still getting your piracy, like the emulator, but you're getting your real feel experience like the collector, right? It's the perfect middle ground where you're not, if you buy a ROM collection, one of those anthology collections on the Switch or PlayStation 4 or 5 or whatever, none of those original developers are getting a cut. They're already gone. You're just paying who currently owns the IP. If you buy the real deal on eBay, same thing. You're just like paying some guy in Kenosha, Wisconsin or whatever, who has an eBay page, right? You're not paying Mr. Konami 1993 video game developer. Let's see. Oh, another alternative is an emulation machine like a Raspberry Pi. One of the mini consoles, you hack it. Death Adder recently got one of the Sega Genesis minis. And that's not a bad alternative either, You at least get to look at a lump of plastic that looks like a Sega Genesis, and you can emulate some stuff. To me, it doesn't quite feel the same playing it on an HD TV. I don't know, it's just one of my quirks, I do like the authenticity, and you can still find deals at yard sales if you're willing then to put in the footwork, Let's see what we got. Real consoles, minis, emulation. And then, I've emulated on a PC before. I've emulated on a PC recently just to play some fan translations. It's just, not my preferred method. I do like to have the real deal. So I was looking at my show notes here. There was something that I stumbled across on GameFAQs a long time ago. I was looking up a game. I was looking at Wonder Momo, which is a TurboGrafx 16 game that it's kind of hard to describe what kind of game it is. It's kind of an arcade action game. You're like, the level's real small, the screen scrolls a little bit left and right, and you're doing a stage play of like a Sentai show, like something like Sailor Moon, right? You're a high school girl that transforms into Wonder Momo, and she gets a little power up, and she shoots an energized hoop around the screen, and you're kicking, the generic baddies, and then boss fight, and then the curtains close, and the crowd cheers, and you go on to the next stage. It's really kind of bizarre. I got it because it was an inexpensive TurboGrafx 16 game. That's one of the things I like to do too. I'll just look at a system that's hard to collect for, and I'll look at the cheap games that you can get for like $20, $15-20, and I try to find one that looks interesting, and then you buy that. So that's one of my ways that I've built up a really interesting collection. Is you pick a system, you find something that's affordable. $20 is I believe a $20 bill is the basic. It's one money, right? No matter what you buy, if you think back to the days when cash was used, I know that more and more people have moved away from cash because of this, I think, totally fake and not real coin shortage that was going on. But you break a 20, like in your mind, you still feel like you spent $20, right? You spend $10 on something, you've broken that 20, that $20 is gone, you've lost one money. This is the way it kind of feels. That's definitely the way it feels at yard sales. $20 is the magic number for a lot of stuff because that's one money. And so anyway, that's how I build up games. So I was poking around game FAQs, and I saw Psycho, Saikyo, Psycho Mog had posted something, and I checked out his YouTube page. So whenever I see someone with a YouTube page, I check that bad boy out. And what I found was really sad, and it got me thinking about people's digital footprints, right? So the guy, Jeremy Sonkrant, he died in 2015, February 20th, 2015. He was born the same year I was, 1983, and he died of cancer. And either him, I think it's his dad, has his computer, and this guy had a bunch of unfinished videos, and once a month his dad still posts one of those videos off of the hard drive. Now I hope he's got it backed up in more than one place, because now that hard drive's at least 5 years older than it was when he started doing this. Or maybe he just uploaded all the videos at once and is just making them available at once. I don't know. But anyway, I thought it was kind of it's kind of sweet that his dad does that. And so he's like uploading a Let's Play of Collection of Mana right now. He's up to part 7 of 9. The last video was uploaded a month ago. Switch game, Trials of Mondo, run through all the things different things. Yeah, or maybe it's, let's see, hold on, please. Sorry, there's a guest book that you can go to, and people have signed it. They're like, yeah, I was just looking up this game or that game, and maybe it's just the guy that's running the YouTube accounts doing Trials of Mana now. I don't know, because it doesn't say that. Yeah, this is saying this is a 2-player walkthrough, so this is new. So it might just be whoever's running the accounts uploading stuff there now. I don't know. And anyway, for years he had been uploading unfinished videos, which is really cool. I just thought that was awesome. That his work was not going to waste. It's really interesting. So there's a remembrance video that tells a little bit about his life, and towards the tail end of it. And let's look at this memorial page. There's lots of comments. Here's one from September 28th, 2020. I discovered his videos just this past month and was very saddened when I found out that he had passed in 2015. He seemed like such a sweet dude. His videos were so calming to watch in a way. I'm sending love to all of his family, friends, and everyone who helped treat him. He had a bright future that was dreadfully cut short. I found this, like many of the people here, by watching his video game walkthroughs. Because of him, I'm well on my way to completing Zelda 2. Reading this memorial is heartbreaking. He truly sounds like he was a wonderful man who was passionate and caring and loved what he did. I have the utmost respect for anyone wanting to become a teacher and create positive difference in the lives of kids, as I'm sure he aspired to do. My condolences to the family. May he rest in peace. It's not much, but I hope to use his walkthroughs for years to come. Yeah, what's my 3-year-old going crazy about upstairs? See, this is what I'm talking about. Like, even when I do find a minute to come down here, I hear my woman upstairs having a hard time with the kid, and I want to go help her, because when I'm up there with both of them by myself, I know what it's like, and I wish I had a hand. So a lot of the time when I do have time to come down here, I choose not to, because I know, man, what a handful those two chantaloons can be. But I don't know, it just got me thinking about the digital footprint we leave behind. I'm going to go ahead and leave links to this stuff in the comments. Boy, I can't even think. I'm going to lose my train of thought. I'll leave links in the show notes. That's what I want to say. Man, it's been a long time since I hosted a video. So here's a video that was uploaded in 2016. He left several videos unpublished. I'm uploading one each month to keep his channel active. Everyone please see blah blah blah. So this Lethal Weapon playthrough on Super Nintendo, that was uploaded after his passing. So that was kind of interesting. That's just an interesting thing I stumbled upon. I like going to GameFAQs and looking through the forums, because they archive their old posts, and you'll see like forum posts from 10 years ago. And I like to check out people's signatures, see their websites, and I think that's pretty neat. Let's see, let's go to archive.org and check this out real quick. He also had a website. I don't think I looked at that in the Wayback Machine. So let's go and see what we can see. I don't think it's going to be much. Yeah, I did try looking at it. It's just a bunch of like JPEGs that don't load. So I don't know what his website was. I guess it wasn't archived very well. Yeah, so that's a bummer. I would have liked to have seen his website. I wonder if that's archived anywhere. But moving along, what else do we have to talk about? So I've done that. Okay, started out with that, and as I'm sure everyone's sick of hearing, I've been playing a lot of Dragon Quest. So I did a couple of streams. I finished up my Dragon Warrior on the NES stream. I started Dragon Warrior 2, and on my days off, I was, earmarking one of my days off to sit downstairs and play Dragon Warrior. And since I've left the job, I have not had time to... Well, I've had time to stream. Let me take that back. But I haven't. I bought like every version of Dragon Quest XI, so I have the PC version, I've got the Switch, the PS4, all that. I don't have the recently released, what's it called? The Switch version that's been ported over to Xbox One, PS4, and PC now. I don't have that. Someday, if I go back to that job and I'm just like sitting on cash, I'll round out that Dragon Quest collection, because I really like Dragon Quest. And so I played quite a bit of that, as you guys are probably aware, but I won't spend a great deal of time speaking about it. Animal Crossing. Back in February for Valentine's Day, I bought my woman a copy of Animal Crossing. This is the beginning of this COVID hoopla. Lots of people were talking about Animal Crossing, and it became a real big phenomenon, which is kind of odd, but it's odd how these things pan out sometimes. What takes off, when it takes off, and how and why. It's kind of interesting to see these things. And my woman had been wanting to play Animal Crossing because she's seen other versions of it in my collection. I think the only one I don't have is the Wii U one, And but the only one I ever really played was Wild World. I just happened to get the GameCube and the Wii one at yard sales, and I recently bought 2 copies of the 3DS version for me and her to play together because I was interested in those too. But she's been spending a lot of time. She's probably clocked more hours on my Switch than I have by this point, just playing Animal Crossing, and she loves it. It's very relaxing and soothing to her, and I enjoy seeing her put a little bit of time into a video game. It's kind of cool. I'm glad I got that for her. And I had also bought a second controller so we could play it together, but the 2-player sucks. When you got 2 people on screen at once, the screen follows, one person, and the other person can like cut down trees and like fish and stuff, but any items you pick up get sent straight to the recycling bin, which doesn't make sense to me. You can put the other person in control. You can like make the primary player go back and forth, and then they can pick up and just pick up the items. But I don't know why they put that extra hoop in there for picking up items. Just let me do some fishing with my woman. So it kind of sucks, and that's why I got the 3DS version, so that eventually me and her can play those together, and then run around, have our own screens. But that's exactly what Nintendo's wanting you to do, is for you to have your own Switch and to hop in that way, not just do the couch co-op. I believe. I don't know what the online co-op or the in the same room co-op with 2 Switches is like, because I ain't got 2 Switches. It's one of those things I did not impulse buy when I was at the last job. So she's clocked a lot of hours in Animal Crossing, filling out her museum and decorating her house, paying off her loan and all that stuff. Just really loving it. So I'm glad to see that take place. I like to just sit with her and watch her play, and it's I'll BS around on my phone. At that job, as I mentioned, I did buy a bunch of games on Steam this summer. Finally got the experience of the Steam Summer Sale. Bought a couple of things, like $5 here, $1 there. And the biggest thing I've spent time with is Doom 2016. And I bought all the classic Dooms, except for Doom 3. I'll get that someday in the future. But I started playing Doom again down here on my PC now that I'm off work. And this week I just started playing Doom again. I don't know, I just got that itch. So I'm almost to the end of Doom 2016. I've really been enjoying it. I had played it, like I rented it out of a Redbox on the PS4 when it first came out on PS4. And I was getting my ass whooped because this is definitely a PC game. Like, it's cool that you can play Doom and Doom Eternal on your Switch, but I can't imagine how wrecked I would be getting trying to play that with a controller, because I was just not doing that hot on the PS4. But on the PC, it's awesome. So I was playing that at work for hours. It was just a lot of fun being able to play that for $20 an hour. And also a lot of the classic Dooms. And a lot of people there had gaming laptops, but the game that was popular there was World of Warcraft. I don't know if they were playing together. There's a coworker of mine that I caught playing Morrowind. I heard the all too familiar sound of cliff racers. And I was like, "Are you punching cliff racers?" And it's like, "Yeah, I just made a goof character to just go punch things." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And so it was popular. It was not an uncommon sight there to see someone with a laptop screwing around, because people were there for 8 to 12 or 16 hours all the time. The game that has caught my attention the hardest, however, is Yakuza Like a Dragon. I just happened to see the launch trailer, and it actually sold me. So bravo, Sega marketing team, who put the Yakuza Like a Dragon launch trailer together, because I was like, F it, I'm going to buy this. And I did. And, I've only been able to get like an hour or two, like maybe 2 or 3 hours a week since it's come out. I've got about 25, somewhere between 25, 30 hours into it now. I'm probably chapter 7, I want to say. And but I've been doing all the side missions, right? I've been doing all the side quests. I don't use the fast travel. There's like taxis parked all around that you can use to fast travel across the map. I run everywhere, and I jump into every fight to keep my guy leveled up, nice and good. And because looking at some of the reviews, people are talking about the late game, you have to do a lot of grinding to beat stuff. And so I've just been making sure that I don't use the fast travel. I go everywhere on foot. I do every side mission I can. And I really enjoyed it. The main character is just very endearing. I immediately liked that guy. And he spends 20 years in the pokey doing hard time, taking the fall for his Yakuza boss. Then when he gets out, everything's changed, and he's upset. He feels that his boss has sold him out, and sold out the family and all that. So they shoot him and leave him for dead in Yokohama, and then some bum who's a nurse patches him up. And you start off the game homeless. When you first get out of prison, he tries to get a perm, but no one does their hair like that anymore because it's been 20 years, so his hair's all jacked up. That's why it's got that wild hair. And it's just real funny. And that real Sega charm. I don't know why I've slept on so many Yakuza games. So after that, I went and bought all the Yakuza games I missed. And so I've got those sitting to the side, and I'll get to those as I can. But that's, Yakuza 3, 4, 5, 6, 0, and Dead Souls has been on my shelf. I've only played 1 and 2, and then I got Dead Souls at a used game store for $10 a while ago. But I only played a little bit of it, so I still have that sent to the side. I know that one's not as popular, but I'll screw around with it eventually. But yeah, Yakuza Like a Dragon really grabbed a hold of me, and what really sold me is, you guessed it, the Dragon Quest references. The main character was really into Dragon Quest as a child, so his imagination runs a little wild, and he's treating life as his new life, starting on the path to becoming a hero, and he hallucinates, some of the exaggerated enemies, sees them as a little more video game enemy like when you go into battle. And it's turn-based. It's got some there's probably a term for this, but if you hit the attack button at the right time, kind of like Super Mario RPG, you do a little extra damage. You can block the same way. If you hit the defend button at the right time, you can get a perfect guard in. And I'm not too bad at that. I'm not perfect. I'd say more often than not I pull it off, but not as close to 100% of the time as I'd like. Lots of side missions to do. You've got the arcades. It's got a full 2-player version of Virtua Fighter 5, which you can access from the main menu. That's pretty cool. Space Harrier, Hang On, Outrun, crane games. There's a go-kart minigame you can do. When you're homeless in the beginning of the game, there's a little mini game you can do where you pick up cans for money to recycle, and your hobo mentor teaches you, go look near vending machines. If you look under them, you might find a yen or two, and so you can collect change and investigate near the trash for items. Very cool. Probably, it's hands down my favorite game of 2020. I can tell you that. I don't think there's anything else out this year that even got on my radar that it's I gotta buy that. But I've been really happy with Yakuza Like a Dragon. Kind of wonder what Shintai thinks about it, because it's Yakuza but it's also an RPG. So I bet he has an opinion about it, because he's a huge fan of the Yakuza series. And, you know, man, what the hell was I doing the past, like, 7 years that I haven't been playing Yakuza games? I really love the style. Something that's cool, instead of like a traditional RPG summon where you're doing magic, you phone a friend. You go through the menu and you pull out your phone and you call in some backup. And you have to pay money. The first one's free, but after that, you have to pay a certain price for the phone a friend feature. It's called Pound Mates. They're mates that come in and, you know, do some pounding on enemies. That sounds dumb to me, so that's why I call it Phone a Friend. Doing a lot of the side missions and stuff is how you open up some of the people that you can call. So I'm glad that I spent the time doing all the side quests and, you know, beefing that up, because I've been cruising along and I haven't been using it, but I just got to a couple of it's not, you know, it's basically a dungeon, but, you know, you're going through an enemy base, going through a building, and, you know, go through a real long gauntlet, and then you get to a tough boss fight, you know. So that's when I've been saving my phone of friends and, you know, using them there. My favorite one is Nancy the Crawfish. Nancy Chan's Crustacean Damnation. I was fighting this really tough. This is just on the overworld, but he's a really tough fight. And I was like, yeah, you know what, I'll use. I want to see Nancy the Crawfish in action. And a funny little, you know, thing plays, and then it poisons the enemy with the poisoned pinchers of Nancy Chan the Crawfish. Sega is still releasing promotional materials for Yakuza Like a Dragon. And some of those are funny. Like the English voice actor for Ichiban, your main guy, they did a video where he talks about working with Nancy Chan. I don't know. It was funny. It's some of that just off the wall Sega stuff that the world so desperately needs. Speaking of which, this is the first game to offer English voice acting since the first Yakuza. I was watching some video and they're like, yeah, this is the first Yakuza game to ever have voice acting. It's like, excuse me, friend. But the first Yakuza on the PS2 was fully English voice acting. I mean, it sucked. So, I mean, you could say this is the first one to have good English voice acting. And I started it in English, and I was like, is that George Takei? And the mafia boss that Ichiban's working for is George Takei. And it's a good, solid dub or whatever, but I was like, I feel like Yakuza should be in Japanese. They're in Japanese, they're all Japanese people. Let's turn it on in Japanese. Maybe I'll, you know, I went back and forth early on. Like, I'd play a chapter in English, I'd play a chapter in Japanese, and I don't know. I think the Japanese Ichiban sounds like way more excited and animated, and I was like, I'll leave that on. So that was, you know, a game that I didn't pre-order it, but as I bought it on day one, I was like, dang, this game looks awesome, and I bought it, and I've been loving it. And every time I get a minute, you know, an hour to myself, I come down here and I play a little bit more. Recently, though, this past week, I just wanted to finish Doom 2016 because I was close to the end, so I just wanted to, like, knock that out. It's kind of nice to mix it up, going to an FPS from, you know, basically the only other games I played this year have all been RPGs. Another thing that popped up on my radar, saw a couple of my, you know, favorite Instagram people that I follow had been talking about Sharon the Wanderer. Because recently, at the beginning of the month, they released Sharon the Wanderer, which is 5, Sharon the Wanderer 5, on Steam and on the Nintendo Switch. And I probably would have bought the Nintendo Switch version, but after they get a couple of patches in, you know, beef up that performance, limited run games, it's going to do a physical version, so I'll wait for the physical version. Just to have on my shelf. If I was still working at the last place where money was no object, I'd buy the digital version and then also the physical version, because I bought you know, the biggest SD card money could buy for my Switch, because it's like, yeah, you know, I might start doing a bit of both. Getting the physical and, you know, if it's cheap enough, the digital. And you know. So, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone now. I'm being a bad host. And oh boy, man, I got derailed. So anyway, they're talking about Sharon the Wanderer. So I got into Sharon the Wanderer, and you may not know it, but you've played a game from, well, you've probably heard of a game from this series. So it's part of the Mystery Dungeon series. The first Mystery Dungeon game was Tornico, probably has a subtitle that's in Japanese, and was on the Super Famicom. And then that was a spin-off of Dragon Quest IV. So the main character of the Tornico Mystery Dungeon games, Tornico, he was the merchant from Dragon Quest IV. And it's a roguelike. So you go into a dungeon, you start at, you know, level 1, it's really hard. When you die, you start the game over. You lose all your items, you start at level 1, and it's kind of a more hardcore type of game. So then the second one was Sharon the Wanderer, Mystery Dungeon 2, Sharon the Wanderer. So this was Chunsoft making their own roguelike game with their own character instead of, you know, borrowing a character from Dragon Quest. And then there have been other Mystery Dungeon games, most notably the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, Etrian Mystery Dungeon. There were a couple other Tornico games. There's one on the PS1, one on the Game Boy Advance, I believe. On the PS2, Yangus from Dragon Quest VIII had a Mystery Dungeon game. And so then there's these 5 Sharon the Wanderer games. So I start looking at that series in particular because the 2 people that posted about it, I like their taste in video games. It's why I follow their Instagrams. And so I just got interested in it. So the first game's on Super Famicom. There was a DS version of Sharon the Wanderer that was released by Sega a couple years ago. And new copy is $20, so I bought that. And what's weird about Sharon the Wanderer is the first one was on Super Nintendo, and then there's a remake on the DS, which is, you know, very faithful. But the second game was on N64, the third one was on Wii and PSP, the fourth one was on PSP, and the fifth one was on Vita. So it's Vita, Steam, and now Switch. And it's just kind of all over the place for that series. And America has only received the odd number ones, 1, 3, and 5. 3 was released in America on the Wii. It has 3D graphics. I think it looks kind of jank from a visual standpoint. I just don't like the way it looks graphically. 5 has 16-bit style, you know, graphics. And it's very cool, right? So I was looking at it, it's like, well, I'll get the one on DS, and I'll wait for that limited run games version someday in the future. And it's the perfect game to play in short bursts. The kind of experience that you take away in a roguelike game is the experience of you having played it. It's like, oh, this enemy does that. Oh, this spell does this. So each time you get a little bit further, but every time you go into the game, you're starting at level 1, and the drops are completely random. So sometimes you get really good items and you make it really far, but they don't drop any food items, so your guy starves to death and dies. Throughout the game, there, like every, I think it's 5 levels, you'll come to a town or some kind of location that usually has like a hotel or someplace where you can save items. As you talk to NPCs that you encounter, you can kind of progress a plot. So there's this one lady running around the forest blinding people. And then eventually, I talked to her, she blinded me. I talked to her, she blinded me again. But now she can tag along as a party member and follow me. And then if she dies, or inevitably you'll die, you'll run into her in the forest again, and she'll be like, oh, hey, there you are, can I come along? And, you know, so now you got a party member. There's also a wandering chef. Well, the third town in, there's a restaurant that's failing, and the food is horrible, and it killed me. Like, it knocked my health down to 1, and then when I, you know, continued on from there, like, there's no way I didn't have enough money to stay at the hotel, so I had to go on, and then, you know, I ended up dying. But then I ran into the chef again, and then the chef's like, oh, there's a restaurant, the blah, blah, blah. So then now the chef's working at the restaurant, and I'm paying off a debt for the chef to work there because the restaurant couldn't afford it. But ultimately, after I pay the 10,000 gold, there'll be some sort of benefit. Like, you know, I'll be able to get food items there and to recover. So there's interesting little ways like that where you can see progress in the world the more you play it, that, you know, will ultimately help you out in the long run. So it's just got a real interesting style of progression, and I believe there's 30 screens. I haven't made it past like screen 13 or 14 because it just keeps whooping my ass. But, you know, one day, you know, you just get lucky and you have a real good run and you just blast through to the end. 10 years ago, I just didn't have the right frame of mind for a roguelike, and a lot of people don't. They'll pick this game up thinking it's one thing, and they get really frustrated. They just don't have the right frame of mind. But the way I look at it is, you know, when my son wakes me up at 4 in the morning and I'm, you know, trying to rock him back to sleep, I can just open up my DS and, like, do a quick run, and by the time I die in game, he's probably asleep. And then I can go back to bed, you know. It's a perfect game. You know, if you're sitting passenger in a car, you can screw around. And sitting on the crapper, you can screw around. And it's like, oh, I died. And then, you know, go on with your life. So that's probably why I would want it on the Switch, because of the portable factor. Being able to play it like that. I believe that the 5th one that's on Steam and Switch is a little more forgiving than the older entries in the series. So, Tornico, the one on PS1 that was released in America, that's another game that's high up on my desired list. So I hope to get that someday. Excuse me. So I've just really been enjoying Sharon the Wanderer. And in addition to Doom and Yakuza Like a Dragon. So that, like I said, it's the kind of game that, you know, if I'm sitting passenger seat in the minivan, I'll just bust that out of my coat pocket, play a little bit, you know, die a couple times, see how far I can get, try some new strategies out, and yeah, it's been good. So let me check my notes. Got that check. Looks like I felt like I would have been able to talk for more than an hour about these things. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. I'll figure out some sort of music later on after I hit record, but I'm going to pull up the Mondo Coolcast website and we'll look at what kind of comments we got on the last episode. Hopefully, you know, if I get some good feedback about this, I'll post this one the normal way on the website, but also I guess I'll throw this one on YouTube. Hopefully YouTube doesn't flip shit about that new intro I made. Let me know what you think about that new intro. I just had an idea for that earlier today. And it's like, I'm going to go make a podcast right now. I'm going to strike while that inspiration is hot. Check out those other podcasts, Retro Blissed, Blissed. Google that. Look for the Ninja Golf episode. That's the one that I was on. Also, listen to their podcast. Hang tight for their opening skit. It is a bit of an acquired taste, but I promise you, the more you listen to their show, the more you'll come to love the improvised sketches that they do to open the program. It's It's nice and laid back. It's very family friendly, very family friendly, very wholesome, very comfy. I can listen to it in the car in front of my kids and not have to worry about anything. But yeah, I think that'll do it for this episode. Leave some comments, leave some feedback, and who knows, maybe I will make an effort to start releasing episodes on some kind of a release schedule. Someone commented on Instagram when I was posting about the Ninja Golf guest appearance. Bradley, he requested that I appear on, I think that's Tecmo Balls, I think is his screen name. That I think of him as, I think that's the same dude. Requested that I be on Critical Failure's show, so I'm going to try to make that happen. I'll try to get Critical Failure on this show. I've also lined up an interview with one of the other creators of Morton's List. We'll talk about that a little bit more next time on the Mondo Coolcast. But let's take a musical break, and then we'll come back with a couple of comments. Oh, and as I was exporting the audio for the main bulk of this of this episode, I saw that I have about a 20-minute episode 124 that I recorded earlier this year, I want to say, but it could be from last year maybe. So we're just gonna stick that in there too. And maybe I'll give that a listen so I remember. I think I talk about Vaxxin Videos going out of business and Time Stalkers on the Dreamcast, which is another roguelike. So it's not totally unrelated to the episode I just recorded on December the 18th, 2020, as we talked a bit about the Dreamcast and roguelikes. And that was the closest thing to a roguelike. I'd say that's more like a roguelite. And then the Mystery Dungeon series. So we'll just go ahead and stick that in here too, and then we will come back with your comments. Alright, so what are we talking about? We got ourselves a Mondo Coolcast here. And we're going to be talking about Mondo Cool TV, and we're going to be talking about the Dreamcast. So, first of all, let's start with the Dreamcast. I have here sitting on my desk a VMU game running. I tossed some batteries into the old VMU, and I'm screwing around with this mini game. The main game is Time Stalkers, which if you follow me on Twitch, and you should, because I'm trying to get 50 followers, I'm just, they started sending me these emails. Twitch started sending emails. It's like, your path to partner status, or whatever it's called. There's certain hoops you have to jump through. Let me open up an email. Let's see. Affiliate. Path to affiliate. So requirements met, 2 out of 4. Reach 50 followers. I have 12 out of 50. Stream for 8 hours. I've streamed 37 out of the past 30 days. Stream on 7 different days. I've done 13 out of 7, and I maintain an average of 2.2 out of 3 viewers. So I need to get my average viewership up, and I need to get more followers. So if you're listening to this and you're interested, you want to hang out, watch me play some old video games, you can do that, twitch.tv/JerryTerrifying. And I've been playing through Time Stalkers for the Dreamcast. Now, how I ended up playing this game, I've got a review queue. I've amassed about somewhere around 20 reviews that I've made over the past few months. And I'm going to start making Mondo Cool TV episodes where I don't always have the main featurette on a series or subject. I do have featurettes that are planned around hardware and maybe some other things, but so far they've just been game series because those are the ones that I've already made, the easiest to put together. So I was looking around, it's like, okay, I've been focusing on short, easy games to review, spaceship shooters, puzzle games, stuff that you don't have to invest a lot of time in to start amassing a large horde of reviews. So I wanted to change things up, so I decided Dreamcast. Let's talk about the Dreamcast. And then I was looking through my Dreamcast collection, I was like, Time Stalkers, an RPG. That's perfect. This is something a little bit different, a bigger time sink. And while I'm recording footage for it, for the review, I'll just stream so that I'm doing multiple things at once. And that's been going well. I've got a few new followers, people that pop in and say hi, a few IRL friends that pop in and say hi while I'm streaming. I mostly do this around Tuesdays and Thursdays, about 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern time. That's when my baby takes a nap, so that's when I get to play. And then like every other Thursday in the evening around 8:30 to 9 o'clock to about 10:30. Those are the times that I'm able to stream the most consistently. So Time Stalkers is a roguelike dungeon crawling RPG. After you complete a dungeon, you revert back to level 1. You can only take like 4 items into the dungeon with you, which is usually just the crap you have equipped, so not a lot of support items unless you choose to. There's monster catching. Like, it's a very complex game. On the surface, it looks not that complex, but the more time you spend with it, the more complexity you find. Now, it actually has some really interesting VMU integration. You can download a mini game called Moonlighter, and you take one of the captured monsters, you send it into your VMU, and you make it do bitch work. And the longer you have it toiling away, the more tokens it mines. And then you put your VMU back into the controller, you download the tokens into the game, and you can use it to buy special items that require tokens to purchase. Or what I do is each token's worth 50 gold. So over the course of this week, I've the 2 or 3 days I've had time to play, I've made about 10 to 15,000 gold, and I upgraded the hub world house so I can store more items that I've gotten out of the dungeon crawling portion of the game. Very cool stuff, I think. So, like, while I'm feeding the baby and running around, I went over to my mom's house. I just had the VMU sitting on my desk, toiling away. I come home, boom, 72 tokens. What's 72 times 50? Man, I don't know off the top of my head. Let's arithmetic that up. That's 3,600 gold. That's 3,600 gold that I got just while I was doing other shit around the house. So, that is very convenient for my needs. You know, is able to get in-game activities done while caring for my child. Cool stuff. So, this got me thinking about the Dreamcast. It's been a while since I've really messed around with the Dreamcast. So, I went to the Louisville Arcade Expo again with the baby, which is horrendous. Me and the woman stopped at a couple of thrift shops before hitting the Arcade Expo, and I found Uncharted 3 for $3. And there's one of those junk stores where they like support animals. So like, you know, that $3 is going to go to buying like some Purina puppy chow for the shit bull that's in the pound for eating another toddler or whatever. So that's cool. I think that's cool that this is definitely the most use I've gotten out of a VMU game. It's only the second time I've messed around with such a thing. So there's another game called Dungeon 4, and you can play a first-person dungeon crawler. And I'm not quite sure what in-game benefits that has, because there's 2 versions of each. There's a cheap one that's temporary. So if I delete Moonlighter off of my VMU, I'd have to go buy another. I'd have to in-game go buy Moonlighter again for 400 gold. Or I can save up and get the more expensive version, Moonlighter S, which is permanent. I can put it on and off the VMU. So I'm going to have my Goblin earn up enough gold to get the permanent version of Moonlighter, and then have him earn enough gold to get the permanent version of Dungeon 4. And then the other one is Editor, and you can make like artwork that I think you can post up in your in-game house. And then the last one is called Stuff, and I have no idea what it does. I could probably crack open the manual and figure it out, or maybe get an idea, but I'm not doing that. So you'll have to wait for the full review, I suppose, should I ever actually investigate that. So that got me excited about the Dreamcast. So then I started looking up stuff on GameFAQs, reading a bunch of old forum posts and doing some Googles and YouTubes. And that put the game Armada on my radar, which it plays like Asteroids, where you've got an accelerate, and then whichever direction you point your ship is the direction you go. So it controls a little squirrely. If you've played Asteroids, you know what I'm talking about. But it's got a leveling up system, so the enemies that you kill earn you currency and experience. You level your shit up. You level your ship up, and there is objectives. So you've got a radar in the top left corner of the screen. The red dots are enemies. Slightly bigger red dots are slightly bigger enemies. The red plus sign are these space squids that give you shield regenerating items when you go and shoot them. And then the white dots are your next objective. There's a little radar that points the direction you need to go to get to the next objective. It took me a little while to figure this out. Your ship has a little scan, which puts a little blue beam in front of you that extends your range for grabbing items, or you can communicate with other ships. This originally had an online mode, which I hear was pretty cool. You can play locally with up to 4 players, and I imagine up to 4 players online or something similar to that. And then you level up your spaceship. There's various races you can choose from. The story is that humans went out into space. They branched off. A little bit of evolution happened, so you have slightly different developments of humanity, right? And the Space Armada is attacking them all, so they're coming together, but that just gives you different classes of ships. So I chose Terran, Earth, show Earth a little love, the basic bitch human. Their special thing is that they have rapid fire, not that cool. There's one that does homing shots, and I don't know any of the others off the top of my head, so I might make a few other characters and screw around with it, but I figured that would be a good, easy Dreamcast review to throw into the queue. And excuse me, once you beat all of the objectives, you can keep playing forever and buying upgrades for your ship, and eventually you'll have a fully upgraded ship or whatever, but you can just keep playing forever. And it's kind of an Asteroids game, so it is kind of in my experience so far, it's fun to throw in for about 15-20 minutes, maybe do an objective. You can do an escort mission, like you'll see a green dot on your radar. The bigger green dot is a larger ship that needs escorted across space. And then you can make allies, which are not super useful. You get some bombs or power pods or whatever. You can go to the hub world and refill those whenever you need to. So it's a pretty cool game, but so now I'm looking at Dreamcast stuff, right? So now I'm looking at eBay auctions, and I picked up Space Channel 5. That's something I've always wanted, just the bright, colorful aesthetics, the future retro look, quirky Sega stuff, bright, colorful fun. So I picked that up. Me and the woman tested that out a little bit last night, and she was getting frustrated, and I was getting frustrated, and it was like 11:30 when we started, so we're both tired, and not the best time to really start it, but it is a particularly challenging game. So the other one I impulse purchased was Gauntlet Legends. I got this because it's kind of it is a 3D updated version of Gauntlet, but recently the woman and I, we beat Dungeon Explorer for the TurboGrafx 16. I purchased a Turbo Tap after many years of wanting to play Dungeon Explorer with the with my girlfriend. We ended up beating it on the 30th anniversary. I was in the garage lifting and scrolling through Instagram in between sets, and one of the Japanese accounts I follow posted the PC Engine version of Dungeon Explorer and mentioned that March 4th was the anniversary. So I was like, babe, we gotta keep playing, and we gotta beat that game tonight. And then a few minutes before the stroke of midnight, we did. You can check out my post on Instagram the following day where I showed about a minute's worth of video of that night's play session. And the same instant the boss dies, I get taken out by one of his appendages, his disembodied hands, and then the princess took all the glory, got the Aura Stone, and saved the day. So that was pretty cool. I enjoyed playing that with someone. It supports up to 5 players. I think 5 players would be too many, but maybe 3 players with the differing classes would be pretty cool. You unlock the princess by playing about halfway through the game. You run in to the princess, yada 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 happens, and then they leave a password for you so you can start playing as the princess. We did that as a good fitting character from a lady, and so that was a good bit of fun. I'm looking forward. I'm going to do a special review theme episode. Several games that fit, in this case, a genre. So I'm going to do games that are like that. I don't want to go and ruin every detail, but yeah. So anyway, that's why I ended up getting Gauntlet Legends, because it's a updated 3D version, and I was interested in the Dreamcast, so why not get it on the Dreamcast? The other game that I picked up is Alien Front Online. This is something, the video game store that shall never be named on this program that was my arch nemesis for decades, which I believe is closed. And then the guy that owned it had like 6 businesses in the same shopping center. So I believe now it's moved in to like a corner of one of the other shops. They tried to compete with this local arcade that opened up a few years ago. And just their business model for the arcade was actually like buy tokens instead of, just paying for time. And then rumor that I found, rumor mill going, what I heard was they couldn't pay the electric bill. And everything they did there was always half-assed. Like, the color scheme was red and yellow, which is not very relaxing, so it's just kind of abrasive to look at. That's a color scheme that makes you hungry. Right, is what the marketing wizards will tell you. That's why McDonald's and Wendy's and a lot of restaurants use red and yellow. It's associated with hunger or some such. So anyway, fuck, I don't even remember how I got on that place. Shit, man. Gauntlet Legend. Oh, I used to go in that store all the time and look at the Dreamcast games, and I'd see Alien Front Online, and I thought, what a shame the online, component is over. It looks like a really cool game, but there's no online component anymore, and it looks like the game's built around that. So I made an offer on eBay and got it for a few bucks off. That's my last impulse purchase. But this is leading up to the larger goal of I'm going to get a Dream Pie and finally get my Dreamcast online so I can play some Alien Front Online. Looking forward to that. And some Phantasy Star Online. As of now, Armada isn't supported, but hopefully in the future it will be. I don't know if there's a lot of demand for it. It's kind of an unknown game. Back in the day when I was first excited about Dreamcast, I never heard of it, but now I'm starting to see people say, oh, it's this hidden gem, it's this hidden gem. I was like, fine, let me go ahead and snag a copy while it's still relatively affordable. And so that's where we are. Well, old Grumpy Pants has woke up, so let me pause the recording. Alright, so we're going to have a co-host for the next few minutes, at least until she starts hooting like an ape. All of this leads me up to Mondo Cool TV. So something I've done is I'm going to start using one of the minor segments that I've already filmed, like an interview at the game store, or going to an event, or, a repair segment, some of that stuff. And then I'm just going to pad out episodes with reviews, or maybe do some just review-only episodes. One of the people that follows me on Instagram that was receptive to Mondo Cool TV left a lot of comments on YouTube and on Instagram. I ran by him the prototype review episode. Now, see, this way I've got this queue of reviews built up. I can use, I'm going to use a couple of old reviews. Just ones that I think could have used some more views, like the one for Quarth. I really liked that game, but no one watched it because no one's heard of it. But that's the point. Like, I do the reviews of games that I think, that get me excited, that I think would be nice for other people to hear about. So, I'm going to do a different style of Mondo Cool TV. They thought it was great. And so I just got little host segments in between the reviews. And then I can work on reviews and keep amassing up this queue and backlog of reviews. And then I'm not sure if how I'm going to do it though. I might release the Mondo Cool TV episodes and then also release the reviews later as individual standalone videos. I don't know. Let me know what you think. I might, put the Mondo Cool TV episodes on the Mondo Cool TV channel and then the reviews on the Jerry Terrifying channel. Really not sure which way I'm going to go with it. But I do have... See, I have to set up the green screen, which means I need a babysitter. I'm going to take one of the reviews that I stuck. I reviewed... Okay. Get your thoughts together, brother. I set up the green screen and I shot the host segments for 2 episodes of the review style show. So one of those reviews I'm going to take out and make part of a theme episode. It's going to be paired up with Dungeon Explorer. I'm pretty excited about this game that I'm shuffling to a different review episode. It is pretty neat. But that's what I've been up to lately. People have been asking for a podcast, so I'm going to get that out there. I'd like to start getting some consistent episodes out, maybe some shorter ones. I've got a list of people I'd like to interview to start doing the interview style shows again. But, I don't know. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment, write an email. You can text in or leave a voicemail at the Mondo Cool hotline. It's 937-419-1223. What else is it? You know how to get a hold of me. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitch. I'd appreciate that. Instagram's where I'm most active. I look at that every day on the shitter. And, at other times throughout the day as well. So, that's what I've been up to lately. This is kind of a quick one. Maybe I will do something to pad out the episode. I'm not sure. But we're going to stop recording for now. I'm going to take this little monkey upstairs, have her look at her mom. Because if she starts acting up, I'm going to have to call the zookeeper. I'm going to have to call the zookeeper and have him knock you in the monkey pit. I'm going to have him knock you in the monkey pit. She's looking at me like, who the hell are you talking to, Dad? What are you doing? Alright, so that's what I've been up to. Excited about Dreamcast. Progress on Mondo Cool TV. I got another episode in the can. What else was it? Oh, I got it set up with DATV to where I can just FTP my episodes to them. So I'm actually going to get the show playing and hopefully get some sort of schedule going. So I've got a few people that are in the DATV viewing area that follow me on Instagram, so I'll make sure to make them aware of the program, and maybe someone will actually see it on TV. That would be a real hoot. I would get a kick out of that. Alright. So, we're going to stick a pin in this recording for now. There might be more. I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm going to go deal with the baby. Balzac writes in, it's a Christmas miracle. Hey, look at that. We're doing the exact same thing. The last Mondo Coolcast was apparently posted on December 27th, 2019. Wow. Ain't that a kick in the pants. Shoot, here you go again. Death Adder writes in, thank you, Santa Balzac. I believe Balzac haranguing me about Mondo Coolcast is why the last one got out, if I had to take a guess. As I have said on the last few episodes, the more people ask for it, the more likely I am to get it out. I'm going to make a stronger effort to get some Mondo Coolcasts out now. Although I kind of shot my wad talking about all the games I've played this year. I guess that's not true. I got a stack of Game Boy games here I didn't talk about in the main portion of this episode. So I mean, I've got stuff to talk. Whatever, man. Let's read Death Adder's comment. Death Adder, he writes in, thank you, Santa Balzac. The Xbox subscription thing is called Xbox Game Pass. It took me a minute to warm up to it, but it's a pretty decent subscription, which I've used a couple of times. It's usually $10 a month, but sometimes it goes on sale. One of the interesting things about it is they'll release brand new games on there day one, like Gears of War 5, The Outer Worlds, Forza, etc., etc. That version of Dragon Quest 11 is on Xbox Game Pass, so if you have that right now, you can play it that way. If I didn't quit, I would have come through with buying you that copy of it. I really wanted to do that. It just unfortunately didn't work out, so now I gotta take all my savings and make it last as long as I can to take care of these heathen children. So instead of spending $60 on Gears of War 5 physically or digitally, you can spend $60 on 6 months of Game Pass, get Gears of War 5 and 150 other games until your subscription runs out. Although, while I enjoy the green Xbox Kool-Aid, I feel like their evil plan is to merge it with the Xbox Live subscription, which will make that shit cost more. I say, save up all of your autism for the Big March 10-year anniversary special. Critical Failure is a must. I've always felt like he was your best pairing over the years. And Balzac, for the love of God, Balzac. Even if it's just a 20-minute Shenmue Spurg Out session. I couldn't agree with you more, Death Adder. My favorite person to co-host a podcast with is Critical Failure. I don't keep up with you guys as much as I'd like, just because I'm doing family stuff, spending time with my woman, and when I do get a minute, I just want to chill out and play some video games. I was talking to Sharon at work on Steam Chat for a while. That was one of the things I did with my laptop on their Wi-Fi, talking about, politicized topics like I probably should not have. But I agree. Critical Failure is my favorite person to co-host with because I think we bring very, 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 very yin and yang energies. I get a lot more heated, and I'm like, listen here, bucko, that's a load of malarkey. Let's do push-ups right now. Listen here, fat. Your opinion sucks, and let me tell you why. And Critical Failure's more like, yeah, cool, man. No, I like that. Let's mellow out. I like things. Let's have a good time. Can I have 10 minutes of fun with this video game? And I'm more just like, that game sucks. Fuck you. What kind of mook enjoys that? So no, I think we do play off each other very well, bringing the opposite ends of the energy spectrum. And I do have a couple of recordings. I know that I recorded something with Shintai. I recorded something with Mecha Menace. I tracked down Justin. Let me tell you about not Death Adder Justin, the Devil Burning Justin. I speak to him every now and again on Instagram, and he had a major life experience. I won't go into detail because that's his business to tell, but he had an event happen in his life, and then now he's like, I want to burn incense and jasmine and go like hum in the forest with crystal skulls and smell like patchouli, which is cool, man. I get it. Sometimes you got to unplug from the internet and just chill out. I've been getting more and more into following game news again. Like, isn't this Cyberpunk 2077 launch just hilarious? This poor CD Projekt Red, man. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. It's been in development hell for what, 7 years? People are begging you to release the game. You release the game early. It plays like crap. Sony's refunding money. Why didn't I talk about this on the podcast? I don't know. It was in my mind. I've been, kind of keeping up with it. The spectacular launch of the PlayStation 5. Turns out the Xbox that was shooting smoke, that turns out to be real. Like, for a while, people thought it was fake, that someone, blew a vape pen into it and took a funny video for the internet. Nah, it turns out, game journalists are still trash and don't do any journalisting. They're just like, how can I relate the launch of the PlayStation 5 to dildos? Let me think. How is the Xbox One oppressing the indigenous people of some island you've never heard of? Excuse me, pal, what are the load times on that solid state drive? I don't think you understand that your audience is autistic. We don't care about the human element. I just want to know about the specs. Thank you very much. Have they made developments in titty physics? Tell me the real details here, please. Zer. And, anyway. Yeah, like, the whole scalping thing, it only works because people are dumb enough to pay $1,500 for an Xbox that they can get in 3 months for MSRP. That's your problem, buddy. Don't do that. Don't buy launch consoles. Didn't I tell you last time? Didn't I tell you the time before that? You don't buy launch consoles. They fall apart. And lo and behold, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox, I don't even know what they call the new Xbox. Series XS Element OP. Just the dumbest name they can pull out of their butts. Surprise! Launch consoles are trash. There's all these glitches that the PS5 is having. I don't know. It's good to tune in to video game news every now and then to have a laugh. Like, yeah, sure, there's riots in every major American metropolitan area, but let's look at a different kind of dumpster fire from time to time. But yeah, man, I left a comment on a Critical Failure podcast tonight saying, hey buddy, get me on your podcast. Someone requested it, but you should also be on my podcast. So let's double dip. Let's do a little double dipping. Let's make that happen. Maybe I will work on that 10-year podcast. I really want Critical Failure, Mitch, and the Devil Burning, Sean, and Retro Kaiser. I need to get those 5 people on the podcast. And then we will have rounded out all of the main culprits. And yeah, sure, Balzac. I mean, fuck it. Death Adder, be on the show, man. I don't know why you still think there's some sort of separation Like every one of these people that I've co-hosted with are in the same boat as you. They're people I talk to in YouTube comments, man. Tell your woman to shut up. Just say, shut up! And get her... Just let you play on the internet, man. So be on my damn podcast. And then we've got just a huge Mecha Menace post. So let me tear into that. It's a holiday, so I have less work, and I checked out the old MCC.com. Wow, a new episode was posted a day ago. Hey, there's a new JT video too. I wonder what I posted. Such a terror. PlayAsia should replace your game or refund you. I was probably talking about that Dragon Quest I got. I bought a replacement case. You can barely tell that the paper is ripped. If I send something out on eBay that gets damaged or lost, I have to refund the buyer. I then file a claim with the courier. I was never sure if it was an accent or something played up for laughs, but do you say program like program so that you and your audience don't take this too seriously? Yeah, I just say program because it's funny. I also say robot. I say lots of dumb shit. An accent. What fucking accent? This is program. What's the point of spinning reviews off into their own channel? Wouldn't that split your audience? Here's what I mean. Say a random viewer finds said review on one channel, even though you explicitly state and show that you have several channels in the video. People don't retain info very well. That's true. People are maroons. I got that from Bugs Bunny, before you ask. Might as well bank on everyone not caring or forgetting and place all your content on one channel unless that content is unrelated and could retain a different audience. Think of how those country singers adopt a different persona to release an album with a different style of music. They realize their fans may prefer their traditional work and be turned off by this release, thinking that it is the future of their production. You could add, I know, more work, an additional short segment at the end of your review one-shots stating they are part of a larger Mondo Cool TV episode and recommend checking them out. Nonetheless, if those viewers have you bookmarked, they will eventually see all your content. The timeline is confusing. I'm never sure which JT is speaking, past, future, or recent past, but it's all new to me, except I felt like I've heard that the first segment in Balzac's voice comment in a prior podcast. Apparently I was confused about the timeline of the last podcast, according to my comment for the last podcast, which you read on this podcast. I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about, bro. You lost me. Balzac, stop perpetuating the myth that Dragon Quest isn't popular over here. How many games have been released? All of them except the Super Nintendo ones, really. I believe they're releasing, and a few of the spin-offs here and there. I believe they're releasing all the new ones and have gone back to redo and release the old ones, on newer systems, of course. The games sell, otherwise Squeenix wouldn't want to release them in the US. Click-clacking away, the best part of the show. Yeah, I brought that to those other two podcasts. It's like, excuse me while I thunderously tape. Because I have to Google things so I can be right about something. I don't know. I was probably talking about Mondo Cool TV and like how I got some reviews and doing review episodes of Mondo Cool TV. I don't know. Yeah, everything will just show up on this one channel because screw it. People barely watch my shit anymore. Trying to fragment an audience would be stupid. But I don't think I was talking about putting them on different channels. I think I was just talking about breaking up the videos, which would all appear here anyway. But to be honest, that was over a year ago. I don't know. But yeah, let me know what you think. Should I go ahead and I really wanted to get. I had January and February of this year off. I quit my old job and I was starting this recent job I had February 20th. So when I started that. So from a little bit before Christmas time to then, so I had like 2 months off. And I tried to get everyone and record that stuff then, but I couldn't. Everyone else's schedules wasn't cooperating, or they weren't, they didn't seem that interested. They weren't like, yeah, let's do it. When? What time? Let's go. So that's the big secret why the 10-year anniversary episode sort of fizzled out. So But I do have some bits that I recorded with Mecha Menace. I do have some bits that I recorded with Shintai. But I really want to get back in touch with Mitch, the Devil Burning, Sean, and Retro Kaiser. And who's the fifth person? See, my memory sucks, man. And did I say Critical Failure? And Critical Failure? Yeah. Yeah, you know. The people that used to be... I feel that the height of the Mondo Coolcast was the live weekly... that cool DJ software where I could just like throw on some music and go screw around and prepare for the next segment and just have it all kind of edited live, all the pre-made segments. It was pretty cool. I liked that time frame of the show. I don't know what music I'm going to select for an outro. I guess I'll just see, since I plan on putting this on YouTube. I'm already afraid of that Power Rangers thing. That might give me a strike or whatever. But I thought that was hilarious. So I'll upload this, see what happens, but I'll pick some music that won't get flagged. It'll probably just be like something off my easy access folder, or something from Bomberman. So we'll throw some music. That does it. For my yearly update of Mondo Coolcast. Like I said, I'm going to do an episode with the Morton's, one of the three creators of Morton's List. It's kind of weird how that came out, but we'll talk about that in that episode. And then, yeah, I'm going to try to make something happen with Critical Failure. Whether he likes it or not, I'm going to be on his show, he's going to be on my show. We're doing it. All right? Get ready, pal. How's that for a Merry Christmas, you filthy animals? Thanks for checking this out. Catch you guys later.